Really, really good question. Just in case you're wondering, by the way, this related to a video that I posted that obviously you can see. I'll pin it to my profile, and this was about the identification of an individual found outside of Cambridge. They dated the remains to between AD 126 and AD 228. And it was more to do with the fact that this individual, through a couple of processes, has been placed as not being local at all, and in fact placed in near what is probably modern day Armenia. And the mechanism by which they ended up in the UK, as I said on the video, they were between 18 and 25 at age of death, so quite young. But exactly how they ended up in the UK. And you've hit on a really, really interesting point there, Roman auxiliary, i.e. were they there because they were just basically in the Roman army. And as we well know, the Roman army was a really, really effective displacement mechanism for moving people around the empire. You'd serve in one area, and for example, I think there was in Wales, there was a legion that had been recruited in Spain. That doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in there was from Spain, or rather Iberia. It just meant that people were being picked up by the Roman army in different parts of the Roman Empire and then redistributed elsewhere. So I think what we need to do is discuss what this may allude to, and by that, the Sarmatians. So the Sarmatians were, as I said in the video, they're a nomadic tribe. They're a group of peoples, and they were experts on horses. They were effectively equestrians. Really, really good fighting in a cavalry context, which is what Rome historically and traditionally wasn't particularly good at doing. What we have with the Roman army is a way of moving people around the empire, and in AD 175, Marcus Aurelius defeated the Sarmatians and moved 5,500 of them to Roman Britain. And that sounds like a specific number, but these were cavalry. Sarmatians were great cavalry, absolutely fantastic cavalry, probably far better than anything the Romans had. Romans traditionally weren't very good in terms of cavalry. They usually used allies or auxiliaries to fight for them in that regard. Anyway, Marcus Aurelius moves them to Roman Britain. 5,500, 500 roughly fighting in one unit, so that's 11 units. And just in case you wondered, yes, we do have evidence for Sarmatians in Roman Britain. For example, this is a tombstone of one such individual riding his horse, and this was found at Chester in the UK. There's evidence elsewhere of Sarmatian cavalry units being active. For example, at Catterick, there have been some tiles that were stamped, and the stamps refer to the Sarmatian cavalry. At Ribchester, we not only have a funerary inscription which refers to them, we also have a dedication to a temple. To get to your question then, and apologies for taking my time in doing so, was this individual a Roman auxiliary? At the moment, there doesn't seem to be a great deal of evidence to support that. For example, if you look at the grave, it's a simple grave. There's nothing in the grave, no artifacts that indicate what this person did. There's no headstone or anything similar. There are no inscriptions. There's nothing. It's just an individual. They're not even buried perhaps in an area with other auxiliaries where we might think, oh, we can make a connection here. So there's no real context that we can use to support the fact that they were a Roman auxiliary. The second point is almost as important. When you saw the video that I did, you would have seen that I spoke about the isotopes, and they found these in the teeth, and from that they were able to plot two particular events in that person's life. This happened at the age of 5 and it happened at the age of 9. And these were significant movements, migratory movements. So they moved in a completely different area than they had done previously because they looked at the isotopes of what they were eating, that kind of thing. Very clever science. Up until the age of 5, they're in the same place. So we might assume that was Armenia or that part of the world. After that point, they move. We're not sure where, but they do so again around the age of 9. Now, if you think about the movement of a soldier, those movements would take place much later in their life. So if you're looking perhaps at the isotopes in the teeth, assuming you can do that at a later age, I'm sure you do, then perhaps if that had happened at the age of, say, 20 or 25, you're thinking, yeah, okay, this possibly could have been this person spending most of their young life in one particular part of the world, then moving to another. Well, that would match up with Sarmatians moving from one spot to Roman Britain. Yeah, we could make a case for that. However, this happens at a much younger age. But perhaps this individual was moving with a family, or moving to meet up with a family member or group, or, I don't know, wider family kin, perhaps in Roman Britain. We're not sure at the moment, but I wouldn't say there's enough evidence at this time to support them being a Roman auxiliary. Sorry for the length of the video, but there's a lot to talk about. Thanks again for the question.